Welcome back to Ill Eagle Culture Brands Red Tape Talk. I am your host, John Nostos, aka Ill Eagle CEO, and I'm here with my two counterparts, Dion, Two Cup Larry, Cody, Big Meat Malk, and then today we got a guest on. Is it J'Neil?
J'Neil.
Oh, J'Neil.
Yeah.
Oh man, I forgot. I had your nickname down earlier.
The Instagram?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, bro.
What was it?
Push that up.
Gibbs Got Soul.
Gibbs Got Soul.
Yeah, J'Neil Gibbs Got Soul Gibson. Welcome to the show, brother.
It was like underneath me.
Yeah.
I was talking
over it. Yeah. You want to talk straight to the back of it. So, welcome to the show, first of all, brother. I'm happy to have you. We've had some pretty extensive talks about all sorts of different things and coming to realize like we kind of share a lot of the same views and are on the same page and about the reality of the world and whatnot. But also, before we jump into that, I just want to kind of give a shout out to you and some of the stuff that you're doing. You do a lot of work with the youth and whatnot. And you got a nonprofit organization that you started for basketball and whatnot. So tell a little bit about that, man, real quick.
Yeah, man. Sort of was doing this similar work. We're from Stockton, California originally. We were working with youth in a sports capacity. And I've been working with youth just in general, like throughout my life. My aunt and uncle are the first lady and bishop of a church, so they've been super active just in the community. So that was like my bread and butter, just always trying to work with people, give back to people. So yeah, man, it was just kind of in me. Moved up here, didn't think there was going to be a need for stuff like that, but
there's always a need.
Yeah, man. Coming from like a bigger city, you move to a Fargo or something, you're like, man, maybe they don't have inner city crime or just the same problems, but we saw that out here. So started two nonprofits. One with my boy, Frederick Edwards. That one's a writing workshop. It's accredited in Fargo Public School District right now. So we just teach social emotional learning and history. And then the second one I started was BTG, Beyond the Game, which is a sports and mental health program. So we engage youth just around sports, specifically basketball. We've done boxing in the past too, but we try to find that thing that really like brings everybody together. And sports is, sports, music, art, culture, those are some of the biggest things that, people gather around. So, we know the kids are there for the sports, but they get the outlet of mental health or the outlet of education, just a different option other than just dribbling basketball or education, business, people such as yourself as well, like great connections. The more you can benefit the community, it sort of drives up econ for everybody. So,
how do you get how would a parent go about getting their kid into some of your programs?
So we're on our YouthWorks website. So if you look up YouthWorks, that's a pretty large social work network that's been around for probably over 30 years. So that's where we started our program at, and then they really helped us grow out of it and reach just a bigger population. So you can find us on there. Find us on Instagram, BTG. Remember, I'm kind of old with Instagram stuff, but BTG B-Ball. There you go. Oh, they actually logo.
So these are all after school programs.
Emoja is a accredited course, so that operates during the school year. It's a class, and then Beyond the Game, that's after school as well.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think nationwide, especially with kids that grow up without parents or a father figure in their lives. I'm a recruiter for the Guard. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in a lot of these schools, and a lot of the kids that I talk to or run into or hear about, the kids that grow up without fathers are the ones that have the most problems. And that's really unfortunate. But if more and more of these schools and cities adopt these after school programs, kind of giving these kids an outlet because they grow up and is that me or is that you?
I think it's D.
So it's not the fan. Okay.
All right. Yeah,
that's better.
I was like, something's brutal over here. I can't hear.
I was going to ask, but I was like, maybe it's just normal. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, but yeah, that's awesome. I think that's very, very important, especially nowadays, like post-COVID. We've talked about this several times with these kids just being, medicated, overly medicated with everything,
So that was the idea with the programs. That's what we approached Fargo Public Schools with. We called it the dual pandemic, which was essentially after COVID. It was like, what do you have in place to deal with the desocialization of kids coming back into a very, very public space? That's a lot of relearning to do and unlearning from whatever you picked up just being at home, kids were exposed to a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I know specifically for my friends growing up, like getting out of the house and going to school, that was kind of like a way to escape. So I'm thinking about the millions of kids. What do they come back to? What do they see? Some parents are abusive. Some parents do drugs. Some parents, we kind of all come from something that was a challenge. So what are we doing to address them coming back into that? And then the health, like you just said, what are we doing to address the lack of health that possibly took place at home, just sitting very sedentary over a long period of time, not really fulfilling, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You're not really regulating as well. So that's how we started the programs. We approached them with that, and sort of that was our foot in the door, which was using that hard science. That's what it is. It's proven research that if you're lacking those things, you're not as prone to succeed.
Yeah.
So
straight up.
Hopefully this is like a kind of a culture shift about becoming more active and teaching better dietary lifestyle and all of that stuff, and hopefully someday that they ban all these toxic chemicals that they're putting in our foods. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but I just saw an article just recently that every single male, I think it's in the United States, has microplastics in their testicles.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
From underwear, from boxers and shit like that.
Well, I think it's in the food too.
You think so?
Yeah.
I thought they were saying it was from all the underwear, all the boxers and shit that they're making these days. That's why it's in the testicles primarily, is because it's being transferred.
I could see that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't know about all that.
Nah, bro, you got to start free balling.
I hate free balling, dude.
It's science,
That's
bro.
the worst feeling ever to me. I like some silky undies before I like free balling. I don't know, something about it.
Yeah.
a lot of my friends sleep butt naked. You guys sleep
Hell
butt
yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't do that, dude.
You don't sleep butt,
No.
dude. Chase doesn't sleep butt naked, and then we went to that bachelor party, and I realized the reason why he doesn't sleep butt naked is because he sleeps like face down, ass up, dude. I was like, I took a picture. I was like, Nicole, this is wild. Like, I can't believe that this makes sense now. I wouldn't sleep butt naked if I slept like that either.
The best part about, like, okay, so a lot of my friends, they do sleep nude, and so when we were in DC this last time, you know, we were getting ready to come home, and so we were staying in the hotel as well. The new crew came in to stay into the townhouses that we were in. We went out freaking partying one night, went out to the bar, and got back to the hotel, and then I was just blasted, right? Went up to my friggin' hotel room, and I ended up like losing my cell phone somewhere, and I couldn't find it. So I had to go and call the front desk and try to have somebody come help me find it. And they freaking give me a key card to my buddy's room for some reason. And I went in there, and there was a bunch of dudes sleeping in there. They're all butt naked, passed out.
That's not right.
That's not.
That when
You don't just like slumber with your homies and get naked
dude.
still, bro. That's not normal.
Like, what the?
That's not fucking
You guys
normal.
mind if I get my PJs?
I'm like, dude, what is going on in here? But
You know damn well what's going on in there.
Bro,
I mean, they're all married, but
That don't mean shit.
That doesn't mean shit.
Diddy was married.
Hey, to each his own. To each his own.
I don't even sleep in my undies like when I'm like sleeping in the same room as other dudes.
That's that
What
weakening.
did I tell you guys? I said we're all comfortable. We're all comfortable.
Yeah.
Very comfortable.
that's extreme comfort.
That's too comfortable.
Hey,
I don't know, not that comfortable.
That's Diddy comfortable.
Well, it's probably a good thing you guys are in the military, because you would see a lot of shit.
I'm good on that.
Yeah, holy hell.
Anyways, before we get started, I just gotta say that I have a little cold, so if you see me kind of coughing off to the side, I don't want to cough in the mic.
You get sick a lot.
Dude,
What's going on?
That new dad life.
202, it's fucking, it's so bad. Like, it's seriously every other week we got freaking some kind of sickness.
Wait till they're in school.
How you
Oh
feel
my
about
God.
that, J'Neil? Not dealing with the sicknesses yet?
Yeah, he's been sick, but you know,
It's not
you
as
just do stuff to prevent, healthy diet,
Wow.
take care of business, and yeah.
Cody, you gotta get on your vitamins, dog.
I mean, I was following that protocol to help with my thick blood, and one of them was saying that you're not supposed to take vitamin C. So I
Yeah.
stopped taking vitamin C, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but
That probably isn't helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so I haven't been taking.
They
my
told you
vitamin
not to take vitamin C for your blood.
That was in that protocol that
Really?
that guy sent.
They got me taking vitamin C right now for my blood, but the low iron in the
That makes sense.
the high
But,
red blood cell.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it doesn't help, maybe it helps. I have no idea. But like I said, I threw everything at that to try to fix it. But
It's trending in the right direction, or
for now,
Good.
yeah. The other thing is, there's a guy that I work with, and he's relatively new recruiter that he works with us. He was formerly active duty, and he just started a few months ago. But turns out that the guy has a lot of money, a shit ton of money through investments, right? And so one day I saw he has this Robinhood account. And I didn't really know anything about Robinhood. I just remember like back in 2020 when there was that huge GameStop thing. And
they did it again recently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I saw his Robinhood account, and it was like thousands of dollars, right? And I was like, fuck, maybe I should get on this. So I just downloaded Robinhood a couple of days ago, and I'm like, dude, I'm obsessed. It's so addicting going on there and seeing what
are you investing into?
Mainly tech companies.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of tech companies.
You should make sure you get into like the S&P and stuff.
I'll have to look into
You
it.
should just make sure you do your research first.
I have been researching.
Man, I've seen a lot of dudes jump into fucking stocks because it's trendy and cool to do so, and lose all their motherfucking money, bro.
I'm not gonna dump like a shit ton of money into it, but I did research a lot of the tech companies that are on the rise.
You get into like the S&P and the NASDAQ and stuff like that, and it's multiple companies throughout, and that's where people generally want to put their money because it's a lot safer. So
yeah.
Just
I'm not gonna do it too crazy, but
like just saw some crazy data and stats this weekend. We had a conference out in Minnesota, but just on it was a business conference. But crazy way to think about is the baby boomer generation. So the silver tsunami coming up. And one of the projected things to invest in is like caretaking industry, just because it's probably the hugest.
They're all going to be headed that direction.
Yeah. So it was kind of like morbid information, but it was just like, hey, like if you're looking for
invest in Nike Monarch stock and New Balance stock, bro.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It's about to go up.
Pretty much.
Straight up.
It's just so high already, though. That's the thing. Like they already made those famous before they even got old.
And that's what that's what I noticed was like some of these stocks like Microsoft and that fucking Nvidia stock. It's where the chips are made. That like fucking jumped up. And the one that really pisses me off is Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up to like $72,000. And I remember back in 2009 when I was in Kosovo, we were talking about Bitcoin, and some people were talking about like investing into Bitcoin and shit. I was like, what the fuck is Bitcoin? And they're like, fuck that. You know what I mean? And I'm just like thinking to myself, if I would have thrown everything that I made during that deployment, I'd be a billionaire right now.
Or even just half, like anything. You
remember the story about the guy who bought pizza with Bitcoin? It cost him like, I don't know, it was a couple $100,000 in Bitcoin back in the day, but it was just like Bitcoin value, right? And now that he finds out that money that he used to buy a pizza with back in the day would have been worth hundreds of millions today.
Yep.
It's crazy. Bro.
It's so strange. And I still, to this day, have no idea what the fuck Bitcoin is. But
that's what it is. Who knows?
And then they're talking about mining Bitcoin through computers and
yeah, bro. That's where the money's at for real.
Ether. Yeah. I didn't, not Bitcoin, but I got Doge. I bought a bunch of Doge stock, which is they're like 16 cents right now per share. So
I've been watching it, but it's just like made bubble. I'm not on that. I'm not on that cryptocurrency type of stuff. You know,
it was only $100. Dude.
I know, but what's the
because I think eventually we're going to be going into that digital age where physical cash is not going to be.
And we're going to get rid of all the banks, or the banks are just going to handle all the digital currency.
I think that's where we're headed.
Who knows what's going to happen? But you already see it. Barely anybody keeps fucking change anymore. We don't use change, and eventually it's going to be
best, dude.
Eventually it's going to be cash.
My 14-year-old son is training right now, working at the gym. Parker. That fool does not know how to count change.
Oh, damn.
He was like, what is this? Like, he was holding a damn dime, bro. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
How much is this one worth?
They probably don't teach that in school.
No, they don't teach it, like, not like that, bro. Like, when he learned it, it was, like, earlier elementary, you know what I mean? He's in high school now. So, not only do they not really teach it much, but, like, these kids don't have cash, bro. Everything's digital.
You gotta start giving them cash.
For what?
Plastic.
So we can learn.
They're just gonna lose it, bro.
But the point is
dollars
that
and
eventually
quarters
that's gonna be phased out.
Yeah,
anyway,
you could see it trying to be phased out right now.
Yeah,
like it's happening.
Obsolete in a minute.
I don't know, man. Nothing's better than just like a couple $100 in cash. You know.
Oh, it feels dope, but it's really worthless if you think about it.
With it.
No, but I don't buy stuff online like that. You know,
that's where everything's headed, though, man.
That's true.
The retail industry is being eaten alive by e-commerce. It's been happening for years, but now it's like it's at its all-time worst. Stores.
I don't know, man. I don't know about that because I've been telling you guys the fucking mall is popping. The mall.
Yeah, but that's a small sector of
and it's
retail.
Also very trendy stuff.
When I was
the mall's popping, but ain't nobody spending money in that bitch, bro. They go to fucking Cinnabon and that's it.
I don't know, man.
These youngsters ain't in their balling.
Those stores are fucking
You kind of
busy.
see it in the hiring, though.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at hiring data, the amount of jobs that are still there to be hired, that really shows you that most of the work is being rendered obsolete, and it is being taken over by an automated system, essentially. Again, that was like more data that we looked at this weekend. Also, more data that's leading to it is there's more business owners now than ever. More people apply.
Independent entrepreneurs and all that.
But yeah, that stuff is it's kind of on its way. Like the online currency. You guys heard about the BRICS pact, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's essentially
they want to destroy the US dollar.
They're trying to establish online. I mean, that's major. Those are actual like state actors coming together and saying we're going to establish a digital currency essentially and compete with the US dollar. So,
Right.
That's just nuts. I'm not joining in on that.
You won't have a choice eventually. That's the shitty part,
think
man.
about, and I don't do this, but think about all the people that just avoid paying taxes on certain cash. Like,
good.
That's the. I know that's what I'm saying.
Good, bro. Like, you got to.
They're gonna make that impossible, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
Not that I do it, but I just am saying like that's.
No, that's true.
There's some people that work really hard for their money, and they have found ways to make it non-taxable, and they do that, and that's more for them. Like, that's what they deserve. So,
absolutely.
I don't know. That's tough, especially young people who like start businesses illegitimately and stuff like that. It's like they're just trying to grind.
That did help to start as a young boy.
Exactly.
Like,
you're just trying to grind, make some cash. You don't know what you're doing.
We'll see.
That's it.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, eventually everybody's going to have a fucking Neuralink. I'm going to be like, how much do I have in my bank account?
Isn't that great? Did you see that video I sent you guys today about that dude that got the Neuralink? It's still working. He's a couple months out now from it. He's controlling a computer mouse by thinking about it, bro. He's playing chess, doing all the shit. Yeah, he got the Elon Musk Neuralink put in his brain because he can't like use his hands or anything like that. So
I didn't see this.
They put a chip in his brain, and it's been months now, and it's still going good. And the guy's he's on TV like just literally being like, "Yo, check this out." His hands and legs
don't move. Like he's fully incapable of.
But he's not like using his eyes or his head movement. He's like, no, I literally just he showed on like they were playing chess, and he's like, I literally just think about where I want it to go and what moves I want it to make, and it just follows my thought patterns.
Wow.
Yeah. That's crazy, bro.
That is crazy.
And the dude's like elated. He's like, this is so amazing to me. Like, I'm still in shock that I can function like this now. So
this is it, huh?
Oh yeah.
This always messes up if I don't go to YouTube.
So what can you show us that as a demonstration of what you can now do?
Oh yeah. Yeah, so here we go. This is the Link app. This is how I control everything. This is the app that they've uploaded onto my computer that lets me control the cursor. This is my devotional that I've been reading all the time, every day. And then
so wait a minute, you're moving the cursor. You're moving the cursor, Nolan, just by thinking about where you want it to go, or is it your eyes?
No, it's just me thinking about wherever I want it to go.
Oh man! So you're not even tracing it with your eyes. You're just looking at it.
Nope, I can move it and I can move the cursor around, whatever I would like to do. I don't have to be staring at it at all. Yeah, that's all me, man.
And you can play chess. You can play video games. What other applications are that you found useful for it so far?
Yeah, man. There's so much.
You know, it's crazy. In like 100 years, we'll look back at this and think that was nothing.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, that's pretty nuts.
It's awesome.
Yeah. This is crazy technology though, man. And this is like I like the theory where they say like we devolved as a race of people or whatever, or we came from something that was superior, and now we're getting back to it because this is all stuff that's always existed and we just are figuring out how to do it all now.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me into some of the context of that book that you gave me, which I've read it twice now.
Okay.
And I'm still tripping on it. I don't got the full context of it, but I get, at first I thought there was like a connection between like God and Jesus, the creation and all that, but no, it's complete. They don't even talk about it. It doesn't even it's.
What book is it?
Numelish.
Huh?
Numelish. It's a Sumerian epic, one of the first civilizations on Earth to.
It's like the Babylonian creation myth.
Yeah.
I was just watching a podcast about the Anunnaki right before I got here, and so that's interesting though, because I think Terrence Howard kind of touched on that
he did.
during the podcast too.
Yeah,
and some of the stuff that he was saying was like mind blowing, like 3 hours of what the fuck.
I mean, it's that history has been out there. I think we talked about it a while ago. Obviously through modern day religions, it's been kind of
there's every
but
every culture has some sort of,
it's just changed.
Yeah.
Right? He was saying he was going into some stuff that I've kind of researched on, but if he's got into it, I know there's some other guys that are out there. Dr. James Gates discovered some Adinkran codes, but it's essentially like, man, you're really talking about genetic modification of our kind from a higher entity. And these stories predate most of our modern religions. Most of our modern religions right now sort of pull from them. Yeah, man, they're onto it.
It's different, because what I got from the book is basically it's like the gods of the gods. Like they created mankind, they created the world. Like there was a war between the old gods and the youngsters. You know what I mean? Like they came up and took over. And what's that dude's name?
Enlil?
No, the god, the young guy, Marduk. Marduk. Yeah. So like this guy is the one that comes and says, "Hey, I'll take out the old guys for disrespecting us, but I want to be the god of gods if I do this." You know what I mean? Then he becomes, and the punishment was, is it King Nu? Mm-hmm. He created humans out of his blood, and so like we're all descendants of him, but it was punishment to him, but to us it was like life. Which was a really crazy revelation to have, because this is all like based on a myth. But it's crazy, because the correlation between all the different understandings of religion and creation are all there. I mean, you can go from the Big Bang Theory to the God of Christianity and Jesus to the Babylonian creation myths, which long predate by like centuries, the stories that are in the Bible too. So and they talk about the Anunnaki and all that stuff in there. So
it's showing
they're the creators of us.
Like something interacted with essentially our ancestors. For us to go think about what we were just talking about earlier, even the Neuralink,
to go from primates to humans, humanoid.
It just doesn't.
There's no other species like us.
Evolutionary doesn't add up.
And then they said that
mathematically doesn't add up.
They said that humans don't really fit on this planet. Like we're the only ones that get burned from the sun and stuff like that too, which is interesting. But in the podcast, I don't know if it's different in the book, but this podcast they were talking about the Anunnaki had created humans to basically mine gold.
Yeah, essentially, that's their planet Nibiru was through sort of like dying essentially, right? They had done things on the planet that sort of ruined the atmosphere. So gold essentially created like a net for them. Think about what we have right now. We have an atmosphere around this electromagnetic field. It happens from the inner movement of our core, right? So it creates this all from this hot metal movement. It creates this electromagnetic field that really protects us from like radiation, dust, especially with solar explosions. I mean, if we were to be hit by that, we would probably look like Mars or the moon, right? It just blasts essentially our whole entire atmosphere away. So that is what was happening to them. And they sent our one guy sort of mutinied and left. It was like, you know what, I have to leave because they're essentially going to kill me. So I'm going to go find something to like rescue our planet. Hopefully that will redeem me. And that was essentially the story of it, which is kind of the story like we just talked about. Is literally the story behind every religion, almost every religion on earth. That's what we figured out in theology class. we had different professors come in and sort of make their pitch at their religion. So whether it was like Jainism, Islam, Christianity, a lot of people came in and made their pitch, and then at the end it was like, or you can choose a different side, which is something called the mountaintop theory. And through our essentially collection of research, everything sort of sprouted almost at the same time of the earth, and that's where I changed my religious views, really. That sort of being told to like be against all this different thought and ideology. After being exposed to that research, I was like, how can I say that this is wrong when I don't know that, you know, I'm right, or that everything sort of is right, and there's something more going on.
The only common denominator between all these different understandings, myths, religions, all that stuff is, so far they all seem to say we were created to live out the divine, to always, you know, be in support of whatever the creator is, and live that for that's our only purpose on earth. And kind of all the religions kind of speak to that same concept. So it's a trip, man. And it's like I've said, I believe in the God of Jesus, you know what I mean? But I don't know if it's right. And I have a hard time believing that, because a Muslim brother who's not Americanized, you know, lives in the Middle East, would never be exposed to Christianity, gets to go to hell. Because my Bible says he goes to hell, because he doesn't know the true God, and God's jealous. He's a jealous God. My God is the Christian God. Yeah. And so, because, you know, it's just like, well, how would that person come to know Christ? Well, he should have just known that. Like, I find that really hard to believe.
Well, those stories, like even in the New Milish, it really sets up sort of like a caste system of gods. So I always ask people, when y'all say God, what do you visualize? Because we live in the third dimension, right? So we're gonna picture. If I say what's a table, you're probably not gonna picture a goddamn table, a drawing of a table, a 2-dimensional. You're gonna picture a 3-dimensional table. So I ask people, what do you see when you see God? What are some ideas? If I ask you that, what are some ideas that come in your head right now?
Just a figure in the clouds.
I see light. God. It's all light to me.
Light. You said a figure. Go back. What you said, a figure? What kind of figure? Like,
when I look up in the clouds, I just see like a picture of Jesus, I guess.
What does Jesus look like?
the traditional white guy,
the blue-eyed white dude from Israel.
I mean, that's a funny shit I heard.
That's what I grew up. You know, the traditional white guy.
That makes perfect sense. Like I mean, obviously, right? We're in freaking America. What do you see when?
I would have to say I see more of like a feeling. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's a person.
Right. So exactly. But in those books, right, in religion, we kind of get set up to see like God as ourselves, right? Especially with the stories of Jesus, it's God in the flesh, which I don't know we may get into it, we may not, right? That's a crazy ass story, right? But it really sets a caste system of God. So it's like on these level of gods, right? We have maybe the God that's in the Bible, which, you know what, God, this is where I even started really question religion. Like when we actually started reading the Bible, I was like, what God would say, like, sacrifice lamb to me? You know, we're talking about the God of the universe, like creator of the multiverse. I mean, we're talking about some huge concepts here. And I'm reading something that says, bring the lamb to me. Even I'm a simple man. So I'm a normal human being. I'm not going to request the lamb or sacrifice or worship. I'm not going to have my son do that. I'm just not going to do that. And that's sort of normal. That's a universal law. So I was like, it's just not jiving. When I picture like the creator of all the molecules and particles in this, I don't picture that thing saying like, and bring me the lamb to sacrifice and then go like kill everybody in the village. Like,
yeah,
that kind of sounds like something on a different level. So that's why I love those books. I love the books that were also taken out of the Bible, right? The book of Enoch, the book of Jasher. I love all those books because they also speak to these different divine beings. And I think in the Bible that we read right now, it really makes it specific. Like there's one God. This is the only God, and you have to like sort of just bow down and worship. And I think that worship gene, and that's what Terrence Howard was talking about, that worship gene is something that was possibly placed in us, right? The shortening of telomere caps, so shortening your lifespan. These things don't add up evolutionarily. All right, I just fucked up that word major. But they just don't add up, right? How we go from 48 chromosomes to 46, so we're going backwards, all right, in our genetic makeup. That's just very, very strange. It seems like something modified our ancestors who were growing at a very slow but normal evolutionary rate, right? And maybe one day, maybe 1 billion years from now, we would be right here in this podcast, right? But for us to go like, boom, you know, and then we're cranking out civilizations like a freaking machine and robot, that doesn't really add up mathematically to the sequence where we were supposed to go. So that changed my whole philosophy. I was like, maybe the God in these books that I'm reading is something that honestly is obtainable, and it says that in the Bible though. But none of my pastors that I heard when I was growing up preached it in John chapter 10, verse 34. Jesus essentially is saying, if you read the old law or the old scripture, I said that you are all gods, and that's in the Bible. So what is a God, right? So then what level of God are we talking about? Are we talking about the God molecule, the God particle that's in all of us? Because we do all have the power to create and manifest. So is that God? If you can speak something and it happens, you can go tell your kid to go wash the dishes and they do it, you know? You just spoke something into existence. So we kind of all have that power. That kind of changed my philosophy, you know, seriously. Like, what the hell are we talking about? But yeah, so that's kind of my piece on it. I don't want to get too technical. You saw all the freaking books. I'm kind of getting nerd out super hard over it, but
no, I'm into it, man.
Awesome.
I have a belief system, and I wouldn't even say it's necessarily one that was taught to me. I sought it. You know what I mean? When I decided to seek a higher power or a higher being, that was just the first place you go, because it's natural for us to say, oh, in America, oh God, Jesus, you know, Christianity, whatever religion, but we gear towards something like that. My thing is like you say, we are in the likeness of God. And to give a kind of a layman's example of what you were trying to explain at a higher level is, we only use 10% of our brain. Why? And why would God create us with the ability to have 100% brain, but be like, only 10% of it though. Now go out there and figure things out. Like that doesn't add up to me sometimes too. So like, as much I've done theology in the direction of Calvinism and universalism and all that stuff, and I pulled away from that stuff because there was a lot of things, especially in the tulip theory, you know, with Calvinism. I didn't like a lot of that. I didn't like the perseverance of the saints as an excuse to just be a bad person all the time. You know, I'm just like, that doesn't seem right to me. Or the chosen, you know what I mean? Like the irresistible grace. You know, there's people who, you know, like as it stands, they tell you God already knows who's going to heaven and who's going to hell. And we're just like here taking the ride. You just got to figure it out. Are you one? I don't know. But if you have irresistible grace, you're of the chosen, right?
But there's free will.
Yeah. So irresistible grace means like, if you're one of the chosen, you will come to know Christ no matter what. But everyone else gets go to hell. You're screwed.
Yeah.
And that doesn't add up to me, because how do other people, like a Muslim living in the Middle East, come to know Christ?
Yeah.
And I know people will say, well, because you gotta, you gotta equip them. You know what I mean? That's why they say you gotta go on missions and you gotta do all this stuff. It's because you have to introduce people. But it's like, come on, man. The reality of that is
spreading.
It's so far fetched. Yeah. So and then the Old Testament versus the New Testament, that stuff gets a little crazy to me too. So I'm very much walking the path of God and Jesus Christ. But man, I'm exploring all of it. I've been reading and studying all of this stuff forever because I want to come to some kind of conclusion. But right now, as it stands, I think what I'm seeing is that, just like you say, there's God beings. Essentially, God isn't like an actual person. It's maybe a molecule. It's something. It's some kind of entity, but it's not like us, like humans, which is why they say God wasn't a man. You know, like. So I don't know. It's very confusing, but if you do the research, it gets very interesting because there's so many different theories out there and so many myths and whatever you want to call them. And somehow we've walked the path that we walk, and people in other countries walk the path that they walk. All of that feels orchestrated to me.
Yeah.
So the fact that if you grow up in the Middle East, you're going to be Muslim.
That 90% you said.
Yeah.
I think really from the theory that we just talked about, right? Like possible. No, obviously not. I mean, there is some scientific research to show that we did have some manipulation to our genes. But I think that 90% that you're talking about is possibly us being more like intuitive with one another on a vibrational level, like on a wavelength. I think when they talk about like what is it, telepathy?
Yeah,
like being able to communicate without speaking, like certain animals in our animal kingdom can do. Like, you know, we're talking about like sonar, just different capabilities that like whales, dolphins. I think that if you're like growing naturally out of an environment, those are some of the capabilities that you can have on this earth. right? Because we see it all around us in nature, right? How trees are able to communicate, right, through a system, through roots, they're all able to, and we're coming essentially from that same cloth, but we don't have those capabilities. I think that's at 90%. That was manipulated, changed. Because imagine us, right, in our fullest potential with those capabilities, what we've been able to accomplish now with just 10%. I mean, that's human ascension. So I think that's very powerful. I think with the stories we read in the Bible, in the Numialish, just taking it super ancient, I think that's what you're seeing is an interaction with where we're at when, I don't know, 200,000, 300,000, maybe even further, 2 million years ago, we were interacting with our earlier ancestors.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Do you know the reason why they took those books out of the Bible? Have you ever researched that?
Yeah. So
was there an actual?
Yeah. So really around mid 300 AD, I think it was the Emperor Constantine or Constantinople. He decided to bring the Roman Empire around the Christian faith, right? So they also practiced their own religion. We call it paganism. So there was the worship of the sun god essentially. So, Sunday, right? All of the ancient Christian traditions sort of got changed around when the Roman Empire took this over as their religion. So we have Christmas, we have all these other things that's sort of a mesh. So yeah, it was done so we can. I'm just saying, if anybody was practicing Christianity or us nowadays trying to learn about it, it was done so we can not do the stuff that was essentially really set out to free you. So like Christianity is really like 3,000 years old before the Roman Empire ever took hold of it. I mean, one of the oldest churches, really before the Roman Empire had a church, one of the oldest Christian churches was in Ethiopia. Now we call it the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, but those books in the Ethiopian Bible, it's actually way longer than our Bible we practice nowadays. But yeah, they took all that out because some of that information I believe could really free you, set you free, especially if you learned about what Christ really is. Because I think we attach Christ so much to like this was the man, right? But Christ lets you know himself. That iteration of Christ that I've been here before, I'm here now and I'll be back again. So that's clearly not something that's human. That's something that's saying, hey, I'm super beyond that. I'm like, I'm a particle. I'm not a ghost, right? I'm something that can come into different dimensions, which is, they talk about that in the halls of Amenti and some of the ancient books that are found in Kemet or ancient Egypt. They talk about those sort of like rehydration chambers for higher dimensional beings that they could like come back into different bodies. And lo and behold, where was, I'm not making this connection, but Jesus was in Egypt. And I think that's something that you have to look at as well. And they still have the home that, him and his mother Mary lived in Egypt. So like, just
he's not a blue-eyed white man for sure.
Man, hey man, I mean,
he could be,
right?
If he's Anunnaki, he could be.
Well, they were a multi-breeded race, right? So they had different people that look differently. That's sort of another theory I have on race itself. I think that's why I don't get caught up into like all the race wars. I'm like, if you look at it, maybe we evolved to be all these different skin colors. Maybe
it's very strange, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that it's genetic markers. I think that whatever came before us, I think they did leave some genetic markers in our DNA code. I think they look different, so we look different. Yeah. I think there's dark skinned people in extremely cold places. That doesn't add up. So that was their honestly that was their original roots.
Yeah,
Aboriginals. That's where.
Yeah.
There's something came in.
Even in this book, they make reference to like the different species and stuff, like the gods of the sea that they talked about, and that woman, I can't remember her name, Tamaru or something like that.
Tiamat.
Tiamat. Yeah. So she was like part dragon or something like that. She was like, she had multiple arms, like all this stuff, like, which I'm fascinated by the theory of dragons right now. Like I don't believe in dinosaurs for nothing at this point.
Trying to prove Cody wrong on giants.
No, I'm not trying to prove Cody wrong, man. These are just things that I'm hung up on and I want to know more involved, because you don't, other than us, we're the only people that are talking about all the remains of dinosaurs that we found. But if you look historically, man, back into the Egyptian time, nobody's talking about dinosaurs. There's no hieroglyphics depicting dinosaurs and all that, but dragons are everywhere multiculturally. They're China, Japan, the Middle East and Egypt, all these places, like no dinosaurs, just dragons. And dragons, I think, they're depicted. They're depicted in so many different myths, man.
How much drugs were they on back then?
Yo, we don't know. You know, they had some ancient
Smoked
drugs.
a lot of opium and
weed for
ayahuasca.
sure.
A lot of plants.
Yeah.
Ayahuasca was big with the Anunnaki, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
they made a what we think it is now. It's a combination of silver and weed, and there's something else that I'm missing, another element, but it apparently like raised their vibrations, out their spirit.
I'm just saying.
This is what they
Just saying.
left behind.
They probably smoked a lot of whatever, and then it was like, oh, put this on the wall here.
Never know.
But
It's in the Bible if you're a Christian. They mention this stuff too, as well. I don't know. I think that
Speaking of
dinosaurs, whatever. I think if it looks like a dragon, dinosaur may look like a dragon. I think that there was some shit. You know, there was some. This is an old ass planet. Like this is extreme. This is a billions of years old planet.
Do you think we've discovered all of it yet?
No. I mean, we have. How much of our oceans have we discovered?
Yeah,
like 5%.
I mean, that's an entire
minuscule.
It's a whole nother world. So
Okay.
I don't think we know. I don't think we're even scratching the surface on what's up here, what's in our surrounding atmosphere.
I think we're being confined intentionally, though. Like we can explore further. We're not allowed to.
Well, I think you're right, but I think about why we would not be allowed to right now.
Right.
Like if we were allowed to, what damage could we possibly do to our surrounding like environment? I think we would cause some major harm. So I think we're causing major harm to ourselves already. So if I'm a way more advanced species that maybe has some control over what's going on here, there's no way in hell I would like. It wouldn't even be out of hate or anything. It would just be out of like sheer. I got to keep these other motherfuckers safe. Like I got to keep the rest of this in the vicinity, okay, because this could really throw.
It's like the same reason why we don't live with the wild animals and stuff.
Oh God.
Yeah, they would destroy us.
I mean, they would have to. It'd be adversarial from day one.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
But go ahead, man.
So in this podcast, they were talking about the Anunnaki had gotten to this battle with this other race of beings, and they defeated them, and essentially they turned them into slaves, and they sent a bunch of them to Earth to mine the gold, and then that's when they had and then they had an uprising, and they said, fuck that, we're not going to be mining anymore, and then that's when they created the humans, right?
Human creation was a bit before. So the GG had came down to Earth from, I believe, Mars and the moon. And they came down to Earth, and they was like, you know what, fuck this. There's no women here. The working conditions are terrible. We're going to go down to Earth. And they took like wives with them. So they were already humans. Our ancestors were already there. They called them the black-headed people. They were like, or that's what the Inky, who was one of the first like space travelers, if you will, that we know of in written history. That's what he called them when he landed. That's what he suggested to his brother to like manipulate for mining. He was like, yo, I got the best idea ever. I've been down here like in my section looking for gold, and guess what I found? I found these beings that walk like kind of like us, So those in the story, it's hinting at those would be our ancestors. He was like, we can manipulate their genes and use them to do this. Like we can get it done and we can stay here. So,
but in this podcast, they were talking about the Ajiji mating with human, and that was what created the giants,
Nephilim.
Yeah,
Correct. Those stories are also
because they're kind of fucked up, I guess.
They took that out of the Bible, so that's all in the book of Enoch. It's still mentioned of Nephilim in the Bible, but the creation of how they were made is what was taken out, which you guys referred to earlier. But yeah, that's all documented stuff. So if you believe the Bible,
you and fuck you.
The giants.
no, that's all.
That's in there.
Yeah,
it's in there.
Now we didn't find their bones though.
Slight mention. I mean, so you heard the story. You're in the military. Did you hear the story about this is freaking old, the Afghanistan?
Yeah,
the
Kandahar.
We talked about it on here.
Kandahar giants.
Kandahar giants. I mean, I think this is an old planet. There's some old civilizations. So if you're talking about dinosaurs and dragons, think about our ancestors in that time period. Like, think about what they would have to be. Let's just say evolutionary, how capable they'd have to be. Or,
Right.
I mean, there's be some big fucking people that was living back in those prehistoric periods. So,
But what we always say is Shaq is big.
that's true. So, I mean, that shows you, right? In our genes, we're still capable of being freaking humongous.
It's not even a matter of believing or not that giants exist. What Cody's hung up on is this tooth that we're seeing. The tooth doesn't give any truth to giants' existence.
I gotta see this.
We're looking for the evidence, the factual evidence that giants exist. I believe they existed, but I just don't think the tooth was evidence.
Giant tooth in Siberia.
It'll come up.
Oh, what the hell?
Is that you again?
Yeah, I don't know.
It won't come out on the thing. Don't worry.
This one here.
10 millimeters
Yes, but that's at the bottom right of the screen. It's not showing you what it's measuring.
But 10 millimeters is the average size of a human's tooth.
But it doesn't say what it's measuring, though.
What would it matter, though?
Doesn't. If it goes further down in your mouth, it still doesn't matter.
I think that we had some prehistoric ancestors that
With little teeth.
that range. I mean, we have humans right now that range. Like we have whole pygmy, country, society. We do.
I was like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
I mean, we do, right? So
Little people.
Yeah, little people. Little people. Little people. Oh my gosh! But yes, no, they're actually little people. Pygmy. Yeah, pygmies. You guys have never heard of pygmy tribes?
No,
Not like that.
Look it up.
Not the way you're saying it, I guess.
Yes,
I thought they were like pygmy goats.
No, man.
I saw a
Just trying
video
pygmy tribes
the
of
other
people.
day. I don't know if I sent it to you guys.
There's a whole tribe.
Yes.
There's this dude. He was at some kind of a outdoor party. He was a giant midget.
Oh shit!
He was like a normal sized human, but a midget, bro. It was the
What?
weirdest thing. I was like, that doesn't even make sense that he can exist. But someone was like, I found a straight up giant midget.
But these guys aren't small.
Yeah, they are, bro. They're like 4 feet.
Go click on that far left one over there.
This one? Or this one?
That one.
This one?
Are those adults?
Those are kids.
Those are kids.
Look
Well,
up their.
that
look up
thing's
their-
pregnant.
Look up their. Look up their average height.
Or do they just look like kids because they're little?
Those were little kids. 4'11".
Whole
That's pretty-
tribe of
that's
people.
pretty short.
Pygmism.
That's crazy.
Yeah, whole tribe of people that still in their genetic makeup. That's how tall they grow.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that still exists. So if we have that range right now, I'm like, yo. So who knows what range we had in prehistoric times?
4'11" to 7'6".
Well, and there was a lot. There was a lot of more oxygen back then too, and more oxygen means more growth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like plants and shit were huge back then, like giant mushrooms and stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, hence the word giant. Have you ever seen the show on Netflix? I think it's called 3 Bodies.
Yeah, just watched it like maybe 3 weeks ago.
So in
Three-body
this
problem.
3-body problem.
Yeah.
So in this show, it's talking about
Which is crazy, actually.
These-
3-body problem is like
these
still
humans.
unsolvable.
They're in contact with something like advanced, right?
Yeah.
And the advanced race is seeing our human race as a problem because we're advancing so quickly. And they explained it that we go from the what do you call it, like freaking the Western age to the industrial age, and now we're in the tech age in such a short period of time that they're saying like in a few short years we're going to be so more advanced than they are because of how quickly we're advancing. And so they see that as a problem, and they said, we're coming.
Yeah.
We're not going to get there for 100 years.
Yeah.
And then the show ends. It's a really good show. It's a slow burn, but it's like, holy fuck. That actually kind of makes sense, because if you look back, we built the railroad, and then like 20 years later, we built freaking the industrial, like New York State building. And now we're in Neuralink planting chips in our brains. And who knows, we're going to be in 50 to 100 more years. So
Yeah, I mean, at the rate we're moving to, like the next 10 years is intriguing, bro.
yeah.
Because just think of how much we've evolved in the last 4 years, and the circumstances of things like COVID and everything that made us have to go to the next level. It was like that, bro. As soon as they said, oh, AI might be dangerous, I don't know if we should do AI. Now AI is doing everything that they were scared of a couple years ago, and then some. And every week it evolves to another level, bro. It's crazy.
Crazy.
Like they're showing the comparison of AI 2 years ago versus today, it's fucking night and day.
Oh,
bro.
yeah.
You can't tell the
We've
difference.
seen that video of Will Smith.
Yeah, eating spaghetti. Yeah.
And The Rock chewing on it. And then it's you can barely tell that it's
Back then it was like mutated cartoon looking images that it was creating. Now you can't tell the difference between the real and the fake.
So
and that was just a couple years
how
ago.
advanced it is. But yeah, that show was pretty interesting.
The like the not necessarily the physics, but the real equation or the real science behind that show was actually insane. And I think so. There's something called the two-body problem that like Isaac Newton, all of our like the greatest minds of our generation they figured out essentially, which was how we interact with the planets around us. That's really the basis of it. But there's always like a two-body connection, so it makes sense. Like we might be rotating around the sun. It's a two-body problem where our gravity, our pull is we get closer to Jupiter at this point, and we kind of rotate back around the sun. But what we were sort of seeing with the three-body problem is we would like go out of gravitational pull for too long. So what else could possibly be pulling us? Like what else is strong enough to pull us out of that gravitational rotation? And that's the three-body problem. And there's a lot of theories around it.
You're talking about Earth slipping from the sun.
Slipping from the sun.
Yeah.
So what
is it, like an inch every year or something like that, or half an inch or something?
What's causing it to slip off, right?
Yeah.
So some research has been done into a possible dwarf sun, or possible dark sun. So then that kind of would have explained, which is what I think they were getting at. That kind of would have explained the Anunnaki stories. With their solar system or where they're from not being too far away from us. Like there's a whole nother solar system that we're not, either we can't perceive in this dimension, which could make a lot of sense. Yep. Or we're just not aware of, or it doesn't swing back near enough for us to really be involved, which lines up with their story. So their years were 3,600 years.
And so when they meet, when our planet meets our planet, that's when our planet gets reset.
Essentially, that's their story.
Yep.
That's what kind of the background story behind the pyramids.
And
we'll get the energy.
And the timing of their planet meeting our planet lines up with like the Young and Dryas theory of the flood.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they kind of bounce out.
Basically, every 12,000 years we're fucked, or however long it takes them to get here.
Oh, you found the AI video. Look at that.
Yeah,
So that was last year.
So that's how bad it was. Is this all last year, or is it getting different? I don't even know.
No, it's still
Yo, this is actually tough to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal.
Type in current AI video.
That was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in my life.
It is disturbing. And then they had one little rock actually eating rocks. Current AI.
Spit.
Or you can just put AI.
It's all AI. He doesn't eat spaghetti on the internet.
there it is, the comparisons.
My God. Okay, we don't need this out.
What the fuck, dude?
This is pretty crazy.
AI is fucking weird. How does it come up with that?
Us.
Okay, fast forward it.
You don't want to see this
Well, this is
anymore.
retarded. Fast forward.
It's switching right now.
Oh my goodness, this is horrible.
I hope it's not switched.
Fucking horrible, bro.
It's another one of all 2023. Oh, here we
There
go.
we go. I was gonna say
That's AI.
That's new. That's today
This is
AI.
actual AI?
Yep.
Or is this Will trolling?
No, it's real AI, bro.
This has to be Will trolling,
That's
bro.
just a happy troll, it says.
that is not him trolling. There's no way you think so.
That's what it said on the fucking video.
He's definitely trolling, bro. Oh my god.
Dion, you gotta type in fucking
See,
AI.
we can't even tell what's what anymore, bro.
AI comparison.
That's how fucked up it is.
Correct.
Oh God.
I kind of hope that's AI, bro. That's fucking hilarious.
Dude, Will Smith eating spaghetti.
He just ate dudes.
Hey everyone, Will Smith just dropped a real video of him eating eating spaghetti, comparing it to his year-old viral video of eating spaghetti that's blowing up the internet.
See that he's
This comes after many people discuss the rapid growth of AI video technology, especially after Sora, OpenAI's new text.
All right, we're done with
It's
it.
it's fake as fuck, bro. That's crazy.
The fuck?
But AI is 100 times more evolved since last year for sure.
How long ago did we send
That's
that video?
hilarious.
That's not the right
He's
one.
goated for doing that.
It's the same clips though from that one. Those were the same clips.
He wasn't eating dreads in the other one.
Yo,
Yeah,
man,
there was one of them where he's eating
they
dreads.
bro.
Yeah, I think it's the same.
That was too funny.
We didn't get to jump into the Terrence Howard stuff too much, man. But in closing, I do want to touch on one of the things that he talked about, which is really intriguing, and maybe we should do another episode where we can dive more into that. But he talked about how like we shouldn't be afraid of death because eventually we figure it out. And he's like, you don't know that you're dying when you die. Like when you die, you don't know it as death. Essentially, we just keep going. We just keep going, and all the things that you haven't accomplished or figured out, you just keep going, and you will figure it out. And that's what he's explaining to us is how he was born. He's like, I was born with the awareness of my creation, of where I come from. And so like, he just knows these things innately, and his intelligence is something he has because he experienced the creation before he was created. And I love that idea because religion and everything else aside, the idea that we just keep going no matter what, and we just evolve into better knowledge, better understanding, being a better being, and all that stuff.
Can you go? Can you go?
I could ride that to the end for sure.
I think he's definitely right.
Yeah.
I think what would help us
Go in the
nowadays in
chat.
this world is like our geometry system is Euclidean, so everything is like straight lines.
Yeah.
that one.
And that's what he was talking about. Like, is your life simply just a straight line?
They
And
got
it's
it
like
wrong.
point to point, when everything else in the universe, was what he's saying, is spherical. It's a circle. And most religions, if you study their real origin, it backs that, right? That you die, but why are you afraid of death? Because you're just going to be born again, right? So it's that cyclical nature of when you hear yourself think, like, is that thing gonna like end? Like, is it just point to point, or is it like, no, there's something cyclical about this process of life? So yeah, absolutely. I think that's sort of what a lot of churches need to get back to, is that message. And I think stop fear mongering and scaring people, like, come here, because when the end is coming, and it's like, no, that's what the Bible before, what is it, before leaving Earth, some shit like that. But what are you preparing for? Why am I doing all this to leave Earth, right? So it's not over. It's not point to point. It's, I'm developing, you're learning things right now for something. At least that's what I believe.
Yeah.
There's enough science out there, I think, to support that notion nowadays. So I think we should tap back in.
Yeah, you can get into quantum physics and all that stuff when you start talking about that that idea and how we've come to be and where we're headed and all that stuff too. So yeah, unfortunately we're running out of time, but man, this is I didn't realize how damn intelligent you were around this topic, man, which is really awesome. I'm glad you had so much knowledge to share with us, man.
I found it.
This isn't the right Instagram.
Just switch it.
I can't. He's got to log in and stuff. So
Which Instagram are you logged into? I can send it to you.
it's a H&I.
H&I.
Here, hold on.
What you're gonna share with him right now is people took the Will Smith video and made it look like it's AI and just sent it out because that's what they fucking do on the internet now.
All right, go ahead.
God dang, dude.
It doesn't come out on the thing other than when you guys talk about it. Oh, the rock
Oh my
one.
goodness.
So that's The Rock eating rocks. So that was a year ago, right?
That's the worst ever.
Yeah. So there's Will Smith eating spaghetti,
Oh god.
and now that's AI.
That's not Will Smith.
That's a way. I believe that that's AI. Yeah.
See, you can barely even tell. Like, it has all the features that a human would.
Pores and all of that.
Yeah, man. We're here. we're here.
That's scary.
This
What's
one was
scary
kinda
is how it
wild.
can all be used in politics now against us.
Yep.
on a train, like with the reflection too. It's just that's nuts.
It's learning very fast.
It is.
Which is not a good thing.
But there's so much more that it has such a long way to go for it to be like actually useful and full potential.
This
It's
is
nuts.
infancy stage.
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about our infancy stage, and then think about this intelligence infancy stage.
It's pretty nuts.
Man,
It's scary.
I hope it's better than us. That's all. They have a movie called that, Better Than Us. I hope that is.
God, man. I mean, we can. Yeah, we can save it for the next one. I was just. Yeah.
Yeah, we can get way more involved, but I think we should do it again for sure.
For sure, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Thank you guys, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming on. We
it's
appreciate
dope,
having
bro.
you. You
This
gave
was
us a
dope.
wealth of information
Yeah,
and
for
knowledge.
real.
So, yeah, keep studying.
No, for sure.
Yeah, we need more like you, man.
Got you, man.
For sure.
Got you.
All right, guys. Thanks for checking us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share the podcast. We need your help spreading the word and kind of putting us out there on this platform, Spotify, YouTube, everything. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. Talk good, talk bad. It doesn't really matter as long as you're talking about us. Peace.
Peace.